Hey guys, we all know that the way that we communicate with each other has changed massively over the last 5 to 10 years, and we think that should be reflected in the way that charities speak to their supporters. Chat is the fastest growing marketing channel right now, and we've been working to bring together automated bots and human fundraisers to produce some amazing results, and we think the sky's the limit. So join us on Wednesday the 9th of December for the final pitch event, where you can hear all about how we're going to change the way we do digital fundraising across regular giving, events, legacies and more. So we'll see you then.
Welcome to everyone who's come in. So we're here to hear the pitch for Facebook Messenger fundraising. We have three people behind this pitch. Here we've got Chris Delecker from Raise Through, who's a digital marketing specialist, 10 years experience in Facebook advertising, and has previously worked for UNICEF UK, and now runs, as I said, the Raise Through program, which is a program specifically targeted at helping charities acquire new donors through Facebook advertising. We also have online Marco Kunze from Relishing Digital, an international digital fundraiser specializing in peer-to-peer and Facebook fundraising, and working with progressive non-profits of all sizes, previously having worked at Just Giving. And finally, Tony Charambalidis, who is a fundraising consultant who has previously run award-winning fundraising agencies and overseen campaigns that have raised hundreds of millions for NGOs globally, across a variety of channels: Facebook Messenger, telephone, face-to-face, amongst others. And he works for Huddleston Consulting and specializes in fundraising strategy, product innovation, and capacity building for NGOs and agencies. So without further ado, they'll do their presentation. It's 5 minutes, and then the remaining time we will have for Q&As. Please leave your questions in the Q&A space, and we will get round to it and present them at the end. Thank you very much. Chris, over to you.
Thanks, Nick. So as you heard, I'm Chris, and today I'm joined by Tony and Marco. And together we provide the strategic expertise, digital expertise, and dialogue expertise that are required. They're the three core things that are required to run a successful chat campaign. And now I'm going to hand over to Tony to talk about the problem that we're going to solve.
Hi everyone. So the context for what we're proposing today within Messenger is that we're big believers in the power of dialogue fundraising and digital fundraising, but we feel they both need to evolve. And our solution really brings the two together. If we look at dialogue fundraising, there have been the big drivers of fundraising growth, but there's challenges around CPA and some perception issues. Within digital fundraising, typically it's been one-way broadcast up to now, but we know that the commercial sector has really driven it digital to become a conversational channel. And we're big fans of integrated fundraising, bringing lots of channels together, but we really felt that chat and messenger is a unique opportunity to have engagement, sign up and stewardship all in one channel to form part of a broader integrated approach. As far as why we think that there's a big opportunity within chat, it is the fastest growing marketing channel globally. So it's grown by over 250% in the last 18 months. There's no other marketing channel growing that quickly. And I think it's fair to say that all of your potential supporters are already in this space and using it on a daily basis. So as far as our approach goes, we want to create a product which sits across the full fundraising mix. So not just regular giving, but regular giving, events, legacies, advocacy work, and create bespoke supporter-led experiences that can all happen within the one channel at a time that the supporter wants, on a topic that they want, whenever they want, and wherever they are. So giving proper supporter-led interactions, and then fulfilling that with both bots and humans, and having that one-to-one interaction, which we know can be so powerful.
So at the core of what we're doing here is combining the bots and the humans together to make a supporter-led journey that's really effective and really efficient and economical. So we're using the bots to handle the high volume but low value interactions, which could look like signing a petition or taking a short survey or FAQs. And then we're using the human fundraisers to handle the low volume but high value interactions, which could be making a donation ask and discussions around that, or more complex discussions around leaving a gift in your will, for example. So we've run successful programs with UN Women in Australia, which was a lead generation to regular giving campaign. So that looks like someone clicking an ad in Facebook, going through to Messenger where they sign the petition, and the bot takes them through that process. They take a short survey, and then the human fundraiser makes the donation ask. We also worked with Greenpeace in the UK on a more retargeting style campaign, which shows some of the flexibility on how this can be applied. We've seen competitive CPAs and ROIs in both markets. Most importantly, though, these types of campaigns are scalable and sustainable. We're able to run them for a long period of time successfully. And so, as Tony mentioned, we've got the opportunity to use and apply this methodology across various different areas of fundraising. We've already done it with the regular giving side of things with the pilot, and we want to scale and optimize that now. We can also see massive opportunities with events and legacies. Most importantly, though, we need to match the right product and journey with the right organization in the right market. And now I'm going to hand over to Tony again to go through what that would look like if we were to work with you.
Yeah, so in terms of what we're looking for, the big benefit of our program, we really believe that it can sit across all of your fundraising and advocacy work. And that's the huge potential that it shows for our specific product. In terms of today, we're looking at 3 initial routes to market: regular giving, which we've already done a lot of testing with, events and legacies. And as Chris said, we really want to reiterate that we need to find the right organization and the right product within your organization. And we're really open to testing with anyone that feels they've got the right kind of mix. In terms of our established methodology, which we know works, we do advocate a 4-month initial pilot with 1 month of setup and then 3 months of live activity. The test costs between $100,000 to $130,000 but that's fully inclusive of all ad spend, fundraiser costs, and all of the elements involved. And certainly, as Chris was saying, we've already delivered some outstanding results. And if you think that this has got potential for your program, please contact us. We'd love to hear more and discuss more about the various opportunities that Messenger can bring to your fundraising program. And I think that's us done in our 5 minutes. It's not easy to do it all in 5 minutes, but I think we just about managed it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. As I said earlier, if we've got now 10 plus minutes for questions before the next group joins in. So anyone that has any questions, please leave them in the Q&A or in the chat even, if you would rather. But while we're waiting for the first questions, we've got a couple of questions from our side. I guess one thing that people might worry about is data and data protection. What kinds of experiences have you had with people about kind of having these kinds of conversations that touch on money and kind of can touch on personal data, I suppose, within Facebook for an NGO? How's the kind of data and personal data bit handled?
Tony, do you want to handle that one?
Well, yeah. So if I talk about what happened, so in the sign-up process, so whatever the outcome that we're looking to achieve, be that email capture, telephone capture, or sign-up information for an event or for regular giving, at the moment we're currently capturing that in an online form. So essentially, it would fall into your existing practices and your existing data protection policy. So the fundraiser wouldn't actually see the sign-up information. The supporter would go up and sign up online. And that's one of the great things about this. It can immediately, we can use your existing infrastructure and data protection policies for the sign-up process. That said, we are very keen to look at whether we can integrate sign-up within channel, and we're very hopeful that we can do that next year. And obviously within that, we can set up, I believe, like APIs within Facebook that can just send information securely to your CRM. But Chris, I don't know if you wanted to elaborate a little more on that.
Yeah, I'll just add to that at the moment, given that we've been doing pilots, we've kept it relatively simple rather than going down the road of more complex integrations with, every different organization has different systems. But as we go through that sort of pilot and start to roll it out and scale, that's definitely a part of what we see. So integrating into existing systems, making it as kind of simple as possible so that we have as few touch points as possible really helps from the data side of things.
Okay, thank you. Reminder to everyone, please do ask any questions in the Q&A if you have them. We have some more, so we can keep going. I guess one concern is, oh wait a second, let's go for an actual question. Okay, what about ads to WhatsApp? I find it works on the traffic goal only on Business Manager, but there are several limits to starting the conversation, even if there are lots of clicks. How would you suggest? I think that's the second question. Let's do the WhatsApp question first. Have you tried WhatsApp or used WhatsApp at all?
Basically, it's something we want to move into. We're currently using Facebook Messenger primarily, but that's mostly because some of the features exist, and it lends itself to being a little bit more easy to produce the bots and manage that from an organization's point of view. But yeah, absolutely, we want to start to integrate WhatsApp into the mix. It depends on the market and where the amount of use lies, whether more people are using Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp. In terms of, I think that was kind of more of the technical side of things on Facebook. One of the key parts to what we do is being able to run a conversions campaign and actually fire the pixel within the bot journey. And I haven't seen too many other people do that. So that's kind of one of the key parts to what we do, which allows you to run a much more effective and well-optimized Facebook campaign, as we all know. That's the real challenge with these types of campaigns, is getting the traffic into the bot and getting them to talk to the fundraisers. It's not so much that process, it's more about making sure you've got enough traffic coming through, which puts a lot of pressure on the advertising side of it. So getting those sort of technical things right is key, and that's what we've been able to do.
Thank you. And then there was a second question in the same list. Oh, I'm just actually accidentally clicked off it, which is about how do you manage the humans behind Messenger? This is Michaela from, I think it's Cantor, but the first word is save, so I'm going to assume it might be save the children.
Yeah. Hi, Michaela. Sorry, I didn't realise it was you. Tony, do you want to answer that?
Yeah. So, I mean, what I will say is that chat is actually remarkably different from other dialogue channels. So to be a good chat fundraiser requires a different skill set to being a face-to-face or a telephone fundraiser. Although there's obviously an overlap in some ways, the way that we're communicating is quite different. So face-to-face, you'll have eye contact and body language. Telephone, you'll have your voice. Whereas in chat, you've basically got the written word, but we also integrate photos and so images and video within our offering, which really helps bring things to life. You need, good spelling, you need good typing speed. You also need the ability to manage multiple chats at the same time. So with traditional channels, it's quite a linear experience. A street conversation will either last 2 seconds or 10 minutes. A telephone conversation, one person, 2 seconds, 10 minutes. Whereas chats, it might last 5 minutes initially, but we do know that they can last days and in some cases even weeks, depending on who we're speaking to and the level of engagement we get. And that for us is one of the key benefits of the channel and why it's proven really popular when we've been measuring kind of supporter satisfaction, supporter experience, because we do include surveys at the end of all of our chats where we ask for feedback. And that's part of our optimization of the channel. And we've been getting consistently net promoter scores of between 8 and 9, which is the top band across every campaign we've done so far. So yeah, hopefully that answers it.
Just to add to that as well, in terms of the sort of platform that manages that, which I think is what Kelly was looking at, there's the possibility to use platforms that will filter out keywords that are used within the journey so that the fundraisers only see those chats and they don't see, the other general stuff coming into your account, which is great for safeguarding those sort of things. So that does exist. It doesn't have to work through Facebook Messenger itself. They can be using a platform, something like Sprout Social, for instance. And there are others out there that can kind of do the different bits and pieces that we need. So yeah, hopefully that answers that one. I might stop sharing the screen now as well.
There's a question from Carl from the Epilepsy Society, and it kind of links into something I was going to ask. There's lots of negativity around social media and Facebook. Are you worried? How worried are you that Facebook and Zuckerberg are going to decide to either stop the channel or pivot so it's completely different? And I guess, and what would the contingency be? I guess that kind of links into this morning someone contacted me and said that within Europe, bots, it's now hard to run bots after an ad to Facebook Messenger. And we have known in the past, Facebook have destroyed whole industries with their changes. So is there a kind of risk in this proposition in putting all of your eggs in the Facebook basket?
Sure. To go to the first one, Carl, I don't believe that's going to happen. It's too big a thing. It will evolve for sure. And messaging has been the key area that they've been wanting to grow and have been putting all of their sort of efforts into growing over the last really three years or a little bit longer. And that's actually why we want to move into the chat side of things rather than purely just relying on the Facebook kind of more pure channel, and Instagram a little bit as well. That emphasis on chat is pretty clear from their side, and that's why we want to be starting to align ourselves with that a lot more. In terms of the changes that have been made to Facebook Messenger rules within the EU, yes, there have been some changes. There's only one part that actually affects our journey, and we've got workarounds for that. So I'm not too worried about that. I think it will probably, those changes will be reversed next year anyway, once they've sort of sorted out their kind of legal side of things, which they tend to do. But yeah, whilst those changes will affect a lot of people using Messenger, pretty much always when they make these changes, it's just more about making sure people are having quality interactions with businesses. That's what they're always focused on. And that's what we're trying to do as well. So it's just a matter of aligning your journeys and making the most of the features that we do have. But there is so much potential there that these changes, we're used to adapting to this stuff. Been working with Facebook for 10 years now. If you go back to what it looked like at the beginning, you could have said it'll never work if I make these changes to what it is now. But obviously, we're making it work now. So yeah.
Okay, so just last couple of questions. I'm going to lump them together. We've got Peter Walters asking about penetration and conversion rates in tests and how they compare to using telemarketing. And James Neal asking if there's any particular audiences or targeting that have worked particularly well. So it's a whole set about sort of what works and what doesn't and what are the results.
Yeah. Shall I just do the conversion penetration rate? So we've done a lot of different testing and we've seen a range of results. What we've seen typically is a slightly lower penetration rate against telephone, but more recently we've seen higher conversion rates. And one thing I do want to say is that we don't want to view this channel or the value of this channel about being purely around income. There is a really high value to the interaction that we give that is a core advantage against other channels because of the open rates that we're seeing. So in terms of our ability to share content and to engage with people and know that it's read, we know that by virtue of having a chat with people, we're getting open rates of over 90% typically across our chats, which is much higher than any kind of email program you have. So whilst the results are very competitive and actually we're seeing a lower CPA than telephone and a comparable retention rate, if not slightly better in some cases, we do see that there's a lot of added value as well through developing this channel against traditional dialogue channels.
Would you like me to answer the other one about audiences as well now?
Yeah.
Hi, James. This is going to sound crazy, but in terms of audiences, actually targeting has become less and less important as a kind of a skill that Facebook marketers have over the last few years. It sounds totally counterintuitive. Back in the day, it was always about the laser targeted stuff that you could do on Facebook. These days, in a very simple way of saying it, Facebook is better at it than we are. And all of our strategies now really involve much broader audiences, and we let Facebook tend to find the right people within those. It's so counterintuitive as a marketer, but it's what works. And there are a bunch of other things that we need to do to allow that to work. Creative is hugely important. The way we structure our campaigns is also hugely important. So I'm not saying you can just go out and do massive broad audience and it will work, but we found that it's one of the most effective ways to do it. It totally depends on the organization as well. You know, we have various different situations where we can then obviously use more targeted audience. But yeah, there's a massive trend at the moment towards broader audiences, which makes our job a little bit easier.
And I'll start the introduction, sorry. Hi everyone who's joined us in the last few minutes. This is the pitch on Facebook Messenger fundraising. On the line we have Chris Delica from Raise Through, who's a digital marketing specialist focused on Facebook advertising, previously worked for UNICEF UK and now runs a Raise Through program, which is a Facebook advertising program for non-profits, for charities. We also have Marco Kuntz from Relishing Digital, who is a digital fundraiser specialized in peer-to-peer and Facebook fundraising, and previously worked at Just Giving. And finally, Tony Charambalidis, who is a fundraiser and consultant, and has worked with many NGOs, raising hundreds of millions for them and across a variety of channels, including Facebook, Messenger, telephone, face-to-face, among others. So Chris, do you want to kick off?
Sure, thanks. So I'm Chris. Today I'm joined by Tony and Marco, as introduced by Nick. We bring together and provide the strategic expertise, the digital expertise, and the dialogue expertise, which are the three core components of a successful chat campaign. And so now I'm going to hand over to Tony to talk about the problem that we're going to solve.
Hi everyone. So the context for why we think chat is such a great opportunity is that I think traditional regular giving channels, which have been driven by kind of face-to-face and telephone for the last few years, have been like incredibly powerful, and we're firm believers in the power of a one-to-one engagement between a supporter and charity. But in more established markets, they've absolutely been declining with ever-increasing CPAs, retention being more of a challenge, and public perception issues. Equally with digital, historically, it's been very much kind of typically a one-way broadcast channel, yet the commercial space has been investing heavily in evolving digital from being purely broadcast into being conversational as well. And we feel there's a huge opportunity for not-for-profits to move into this space and create a presence there. And then we're big fans of integrated fundraising, but we feel that chat itself offers a huge opportunity to form a part of this, because you can essentially keep the whole interaction within one channel, from initial engagement through sign up and then stewardship, all in one channel. So as far as why we think chat is, you know, such a huge opportunity, it is without doubt the fastest growing marketing channel globally. So it's grown by more than 250% in the last 18 months alone. And I think it's fair to say that all of your potential supporters are using messaging applications on a day-to-day basis, be it Messenger or WhatsApp. So that you're not going to get a bigger opportunity and captive audience than through this channel. If we look at our approach, we're really keen to develop kind of bespoke supporter-led experiences that sits across your full fundraising and advocacy program. So it's not just regular giving, but it could be regular giving, events, legacies, campaigns. It could be any element of your work. And the beauty of what we're doing is that all of the interaction can happen within one channel, within Messenger. The fact that we can advertise all of the different products that you have, and all of our traffic is inbound, so the supporter has to choose us, means that it's genuinely supporter-led. And that opens up the two-way communication, initially with the bot, but then also with the human, which we know can be really powerful.
So at the core of what we're doing is bringing together automated bots and humans to generate a really supporter-led and high-quality journey for our supporters. So we're looking at the bots handling the higher volume but lower value interactions. So that can look like signing a petition or taking a short survey, or FAQs, that sort of thing. Whereas the humans are coming in to handle the lower volume but higher value interactions. So that could be discussing donations, making the donation ask, or it could be talking about more complex things like leaving a gift in your will, for example. So we've worked on successful programs with UN Women in Australia, which was a lead generation to regular giving campaign. So that looks like someone starting in a Facebook ad, clicking through to Messenger where they sign the petition and take a short survey, and the bot facilitates that. And then a human fundraiser comes in to make the donation ask. We've also worked with Greenpeace in the UK on more of a retargeting style campaign, which shows some of the flexibility that we're able to apply this methodology to. And in both cases, we've seen really competitive CPAs and ROIs in the markets. Really importantly, though, it's scalable. You know, you have the full power of Facebook advertising behind it. It's huge and sustainable as well. We can run these campaigns for longer periods of time. So we can work across various different areas of fundraising. Regular giving we've piloted already, events, legacies, and other areas. And the important thing is that we're matching the right product with the right organization in the market. And Tony's going to talk about what that would look like if we were to work with you.
Yeah, so just to reiterate with that, we see the scope and potential for chat as sitting across your full fundraising program. And we're confident that we can build scalable, sustainable programs across all elements. But our three initial routes to market, we feel, would be regular giving, events, and legacies. They're the three biggest opportunities. And ultimately, we welcome conversations with your organization to establish which is the right fundraising product for you to test within this channel initially. Our established methodology shows that a 4-month initial pilot works best in terms of 1 month of setup and 3 months live activity. The range of costs will be between $100,000 to $130,000 dependent on the product. And from that, we would, very confidently deliver competitive CPAs, ROIs, and retention figures. We're really keen to talk to as many people about this as possible if you feel that you have one of these products that could fit. So please feel free to contact us and we can continue the conversation, because I know that it's challenging to get everything across in 5 minutes. But yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you very much. So for anyone that's you can all don't forget that you can leave your questions in the Q&A using the Q&A function on the screen, on your screens. While we're waiting for the first questions, let's ask another one. Has the majority of the conversation or the presentation you focused on the kind of acquisition part, and this is an acquisition channel. How do you see it as? Does it have sort of applications beyond that? Is beyond just acquisition, and how has it worked in kind of loyalty is an obvious area, but any other areas beyond just acquisition?
So Marco, did you want to talk about the potential within events for stewardship at this point?
Yes, absolutely. I think there it's really about the stewardship once somebody has signed up to an event, to run a marathon or to do a virtual event for an organization, because that's where we create most of the value to encourage them to raise more money, to have a better experience, to learn more about the organization. And it goes on over a longer period of time, not just a once-off conversation, but something that can last for a month, for example. So with Messenger, we are able to continue that conversation, both through the bot, but also to answer any questions that that a participant might have in the future.
Perfect, thank you. Don't forget to ask your questions in the Q&A room. Meanwhile, I'll continue. Have you, given this year and the situation with lots of face-to-face teams off the streets, in the pilots you've done, how has that kind of affected your work? Have you scaled up? Have you brought in face-to-faces on the teams? How has it kind of worked alongside face-to-face in this COVID year?
Yeah, so I think this has been one of the key benefits for the organizations that have already invested in this channel, because it's very easily delivered from home. and securely from home as well. So, and we've also seen that there is a lot of people are kind of craving more human interaction in times of lockdown. So instead of getting human interaction in the office, they're spending a lot more time online. And we've found that they've been very receptive to chats and having dialogue with us online. So one of the things that I would say is that we're big believers in kind of breaking down the silos of traditional dialogue channels and actually creating dialogue fundraising resource that can deliver face-to-face, telephone and chat, and then dependent on external conditions. So obviously COVID is an external condition, but even if it's on a more normal basis, things like we know higher sign-up rates on the street during the summer than in the winter, by having a dialogue fundraising resource which is cross-trained, that can be deployed in this channel, we see that being a really good way of developing dialogue fundraising moving forwards. And that's something that we help you guys deliver and develop.
Perfect, thanks. Okay, so I'm going to re-ask a question that came up last time round. For those that weren't, there's a few participants who are new. I guess is one of the concerns about focusing on this channel is that you're slightly in the hands of Facebook, who have been known in the past to make changes that put whole sectors out of business. I guess there's two questions that come out of that. One, you know, how do you mitigate this? How do you feel confident in this particular channel? And then the other question is where could it go? You know, where else can what you're doing here go?
Sure. Yeah, I think that's part of actually what we're trying to do is help protect non-profits from that sort of thing happening by moving into chat, which is very obviously where Facebook is moving. That's where they're focusing a lot of their development and attention into that sort of messaging side of things. So by doing that, you're actually kind of aligning yourself with them much better than sort of sticking with the way that it's been done for the last kind of, you know, up to 10 years. So in that sense, there is an element of safety. Yes, there's always things changing. It's a part of, you know, I feel it particularly personally, that's a part of my job. I work with Facebook every day, and you just have to be ready to adapt. But if you have that mindset, I think you can always get around the various issues that we've had to put up with, you know, over the sort of time in my career. It's about, yeah, being able to adapt to it. And I don't think it's going away. There are other opportunities like WhatsApp, which will be something that we want to move into as well. And Instagram also moving that way towards chat. That sort of exemplifies the direction that it's headed in, and we want to align ourselves with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that Facebook are investing really strongly in this area, and just their acquisition of WhatsApp a few years ago for several $1 billion, I think it was $4 billion at the time, demonstrates that they see value in these channels and they're wanting to develop those commercially. So look, we accept that Facebook do make changes, you know, on a regular basis that no one has sight of in advance, but we're totally convinced that they're investing heavily to develop these two channels specifically. And that's reflected in the massive growth that they're seeing, which is, you know, second to none. It's the fastest growing marketing channel in the world without any shadow of doubt at the moment.
Thank you. I guess one final question is the other, at the moment, focusing on Facebook, presumably that means that there's demographics that work better, or NGOs that might work better than others, depending on their kind of the demographics and their appeal. Have you found that in the tests, or is that something that particularly that has come up in terms of when your conversations with NGOs and charities, they're kind of fit for Facebook demographics or not?
I think Facebook being relatively sort of ubiquitous these days, most people are accessible on there. There are huge audiences on there. I mean that, yes, there are some differences across different markets, but there are always tactics to be able to sort of combat those challenges. So far, we haven't really seen, I don't think, massive challenges yet in that area. Part of the way that we structure our campaign and develop creative is really the reason that we can get around that. It's a huge part of, and it's quite technical to go into, so I'm not going to do that now, but that sort of secret sauce is what allows us to be able to maintain low costs for markets that have smaller audiences, markets that have maybe sort of slightly more expensive audiences for various reasons, because again, it's an auction that we're buying into with the ads. So there are always ways around that to try and to combat those challenges. Australia can be quite an expensive place to advertise, but we've seen success there by using the techniques that we have.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that and for the earlier presentation. Just so that everyone knows, it's now time to go back to the main room, which is on the Reimagining Fundraising website, which you will all have had open previously. So thank you very much to Chris, Tony, and to Marco, and now, yeah, if everyone goes back to the main event and continues there. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Absolutely.